Good evening everyone, Paul Daniels here, another What I Fix Daily, and today we've got a bit of a interesting case. It's more of a how to handle it type situation. This machine has been unfortunately infected by a scammer who did a call in, the whole fake Microsoft tech or ISP tech or whatever, and so now Windows will have to consider as being basically infected. And what I want to do here is, because the machine is a couple of years old, I want to first check to see if I need to do anything internally, like maybe it's overheating at this point or the temperature's getting up. And given the amount of dust I can see resting on here, it's quite possible. So if that's the case, I'll open it up, I'll take the hard drive out, clone the hard drive for the sake of data backup, and then nuke it from orbit basically. And once I've done nuking it and reinstalling everything, I will copy the data back. Fortunately, with this particular situation, the client only really is using browser type tools for email and everything like that. So there's not a lot of applications to reinstall, thank goodness for that. So what we're going to do is we'll boot into Ubuntu. Hopefully this will work. This is just off one of my USB sticks. We'll get an idea of the temperatures of everything. Yeah. Some point in the past I must have shut down this stick without properly waiting for it, and it's corrupted something. It's not a big issue to me, I'll just write a new one at some point. These are just 8 or 16 gigabyte USB 3 sticks. Even if you're only using it in a USB 2 slot, a lot of the USB 3 sticks tend to run faster because they've got better quality flash in them. Or I should rather say better performance flash. Looking at the temperatures, I can already see we're at 40, so it's probably not going to need a clean out, but we'll give it a shot anyway. Let's run the burn test. And it's only sitting just over 50 degrees, even at 100% CPU, and this is an i5. Let's see what i5 it is. i5 4460S, almost 3 gigahertz. Well, that's pretty good going, can't complain about that. Okay, so I'm not going to bother taking the hard drive out on this, which means I'm going to have to plug in a USB 3 dock and use one of my spare drives. Now let's have a look at what the partition system is like. Nice, just one whopping great big fat 1 terabyte drive, and let's see, SDA2, it's Windows 7, that's nice. I can feel a fair bit of vibration here, I'm not exactly sure what that's from. It could be the fan, or it could be the hard drive. I might have to... yeah, let's have a look. Given that there's only 100 gigs being used on this drive, I am going to use NTFS clone and copy the data, as well as copying from the user folder. I know it's over the top having 2 copies, but I just like to have the reassurance. And then after that, what we'll do is we'll invoke the Lenovo recovery and go through all that process. It's a whole lot of fun. Not. These days it takes forever to do with all the downloads you require. Okay, let's quit. I'm going to go get my USB 3 dock and a spare hard drive, and we'll do the transfer. Alright, I've got my external drive, which goes here. It's just a 2 terabyte generic one that I've got lying around. It's plugged in, turned on, it's SDC1. Damn, D key does not work properly on this. And let's see, we've got 1.5 terabytes left. We'll make a folder for what our recovery is going to sit in. Oh, it's section R5, right. And now we want to just double check on our partitions, and we want to SDA2 is the one of interest. So NTFS clone, save image, so 2, 2. Oh, good. Okay, so as we can see, it's checked the partition size, it's gone along and scanned it, it's determined that it's only got 116 gigs in use, and now it's saving over to this drive here. It's a little bit different from using my normal DD rescue system, but in this case, because the drive here is 1 terabyte in size, it's obviously going to take quite a bit longer than just simply creating an image. I've spoken to the client again, and they actually don't really need anything off here, but I have found in the past not to truly believe that, so I figured this is a good compromise, doing the clone of the drive, the actual NTFS Windows drive partition, and we'll wait for that to complete. And then once that's done, we can basically just go and nuke this and rebuild from scratch again, and when that's done, we'll copy the data back off. Which reminds me, I do want to make it easier for myself. I just realised my burn's still going. I'm starting at 66 degrees at the worst. Kill all burn P6. Rightio. Just create a data directory. When this is finished, I will just do a direct file copy from the Windows partition, just the user folder, and then we'll do the format. So in the meantime, I'm just going to pause, then I'll be back when this is all done. Alright, well, we're done with the image creation, so now let's just do the data copying. First thing we'll have to do is mount the partition itself. Mount it read only. Beautiful. Let's see who we got here. Alright, that should about do it. So we'll just wait for that to finish, and when that's done we can start with the wiping and reinstalling. Alright, all the user data is now copied across in just normal files. The only hiccup here is going to be that this drive is actually an ext4 format, so I'm not going to be able to copy it directly within Windows. So after everything is set up, the new Windows is installed, I will then once again come back into the Linux system, boot stick, and copy the data back over. It's a minor inconvenience, yeah, certainly nothing major. I could have put all this onto an exFAT format drive, but yeah, that in itself is actually a bit slower to copy because it's through the Fuse file system layer rather than the native ext4. So what we're going to do is shut down now and restart everything, and yeah, load the factory settings, which is, like I said, it's going to be fun because we have to then roll forward from factory to whatever the latest Windows 7 updates are. Next. Lenovo product recovery. Okay, next. I agree, next. I suppose I should turn off the hard drive. There we go, and unplug it. Yes. Rightio, that's it. Now we wait yet again. Now I know what you're thinking. I could have gone in, run some malware checking, antivirus checking, checked all the startups, everything like that. But the trouble is, there's always a chance that the people who do these hijackings have put in something that you're just not expecting, you're not looking for, and therefore you've got a infected system afterwards, and of course you run the liability risk there. So really, in these situations, I do find it better just simply to nuke the whole system from scratch and do it again. Uh, Most of the time, people are understanding when you explain the potential risk involved. So we're going to let this run, and I'll be back when it's done. Alright, finally finished. Let's get this underway. Yes, restart. Now this is actually a Windows professional installation, I've noticed. So I'm hoping that in this particular instance there won't be too much bloatware. I've often found the professional business class purchases from places like Lenovo and Dell that the amount of bloatware is typically reduced compared to that of the consumer products. Oh boy, here we go. Preparing for your first use. Now what I'll likely have to do once this is up and running is then do the convenience roll-up installation. And after the convenience roll-up is done, there'll probably be a couple more. And after all that's done, I'll finally get to put the data back on. Let's see, country, we are in Australia. English, Australian, yep, very good. Next. No password. Let's see, yes, yeah, whatever. Yeah, you'd think if it was you've selected Australia, it would actually think to set the time zone to something in your region. I'm still trying to work out how to get my Bluetooth headset to work with my laptop. So, this is my Bluetooth headset, and it just, like I said, the laptop says it's got Bluetooth on it, or at least a Bluetooth adapter, but whenever I try to load up the application for showing me all the devices and managing things, it just says no, nothing. Control panel. Oh boy, yeah, quite a bit more than I expected. Norton, you can go to hell. Please remove all user data. No, I will not tell you why, because you never listen. I don't think we need to create recovery media. The recovery system's already on the hard drive. And we certainly don't need the Microsoft Office in here. If we do have Microsoft Office, it will be off the person's own disks or their online installation. Essentially, I'm just taking this back to what would be a normal Windows 7 installation. The upside of doing it this way is all the drivers are pre-installed for you, which saves a bit of drama. Nope, you will not get to do that. I hate it when software, when you remove it, tries to open up its own web browser to go and say, oh, please tell us why. If they do that, then that's just more proof to me that they shouldn't have been there in the first place. Now, if the person does want any of these things are removed, 99% of the time they are already actually available off the website in the first place. Like if you go to the Lenovo site, you will find you can download those tools, applications. Alright, let's reboot. Let's see, here we go. This is the first restart after I've removed all the unwanted things. Now, once this is logged in, I'm going to install the Firefox browser and then get all the updates, the convenience roll-ups. Internet's a little slower than usual. I think my wife is uploading a video to YouTube. Probably of the one of me cooking. I'll download these, which are our fixes for the Windows 7 slow update issue. Anyway, I just realised I don't know what bit this is. It should be 64, yes, 64, thank you. Update Windows 7, download. Thank you. save. I probably should actually have this in my local file server. I never seem to remember. 369 is the first one we actually have to run. Yes. Basically what the problem is with Windows 7 slow update is because these days there's so many updates that need to come down. The original installation, even of Service Pack 1 actually, of the Windows Update program, it can't handle all of those updates and it chokes. So you often get situations where it takes days before it manages to get things down. So installing these updates as hotfixes, although they're not strictly hotfixes, but you know what I mean, they get around the issue for us. And then of course the convenience roll-up just saves us having to download a bunch of individual ones. I will put in the description where you can get all this information for sorting out the Windows 7 update slowness problem. There's also a bunch of other stuff in those links for things that I want to get for myself, things that I have got for myself, the software I use, all those sort of things, and also links to the software that I've written over the last 20-30 years, including things like OpenBoard View for any of those who use that or are wondering who did it. But I think most of you watching this would already know that I'm one of the writers of OpenBoard View. It was originally done by a fellow called Chlorodite, and I'm not sure what happened to him. He sort of, I should say them, because I don't know if it's a he or she. When Louis Rossmann made the announcement, I went along and had a look at the software. It wasn't yet available for Linux, but a couple of other developers there, Pafman and Pianov, they managed to make the Linux version, and from there I sort of hijacked everything and added plenty of usability changes and rendering changes until eventually about 6 months later we got with what we have now with release 7.2, 7.3, which is the one that Louis Rossmann's currently using. There's more developments coming, but for the most part, because it's stable now, we're sort of not trying to mess with it too much, and maybe in the next 3 months I may add multi-tabbing for multiple boards. We've got a couple of minor fixes in the GitHub updates, but it's nothing substantial yet. Why is this taking so long? Normally it doesn't take this long. It should only take about a minute for this one. And I don't need to do a reboot to get that to work. The reboot should happen after this one's installed. Finally. Geez, that took its time. That really sends me up the wall with Windows, how it will hang there, and eventually come up and say, oh, do you actually want to install this, or do you authorize this to install? And half the time you've walked off outside, and then there seems to be a time limit on how long before you can click yes or no. And so often you'll come back and you think the software is installed, but it actually failed, and you have to go through it all again. Makes me want to put a webcam in this room so I can just simply watch what is happening on all the screens around when I've got everything running on a full workbench, so that if something weird happens I can always just look back on the webcam and go, oh, well, look at that, it asked me for a confirmation and then ran off. Oh dear God, I really need to update to VDSL broadband here. We were supposed to get fibre broadband with 1 gigabit and all that sort of stuff, but nope. The government scared everyone off, saying it's going to cost 40-50 billion, and now they've installed something which is, the VDSL over copper, and that's probably going to work out probably 25-30% more expensive, and we're getting suckful speeds as a result too. And every time it rains, everything just goes to the crapper. I don't know. Classic example of people screwing things up for their own advantage. In this case, most likely because the Murdoch Foxtel network didn't want to have to deal with the competition that would come about with extremely good broadband speeds. But they're sort of screwed anyway because Netflix is eating most of their lunch. So give them another 5 years, they'll be dead. But the trouble is, we're stuck with this crappy broadband now, and I dare say it'll be about 30 years before we get a chance to do all fibre again. In which case, I'm going to be close to being retired by then. I mean, yeah, 25 megabit per second up to 100 megabit per second down is not bad for today, but you don't build networks for today. You build them for what you need in 10, 15, and if it's a national one, yeah, 30, 40 years in the future. Failed. Oh, thank you very much. I can't believe it. Something in this update must have reset the network connection. Firefox, why won't you give me a resume option? Bastards. I think I'll just go and use wget and install it on my file server. Get it that way. In the meantime, I'm going to reboot this. Alrighty, we finally booted back. Let's see, I ended up downloading that 477 meg file through my file server, so we'll go pick that up now. 64-bit version, and hopefully this one will actually download, and quite a bit quicker. Oh, fancy that, already done. Yeah, this one does take quite a while because, well, it's got a lot of different updates in it. So we're going to let this run, do its thing, and I'll be back later. Alright, finally those updates are done, so let's restart. Alright, everything seems to be installed for now, at least the important bits. So what we're going to do is transfer back all the user data. So let's go and we'll shut down. Alright, it's up. Okay, we've got our data there. Now we need to find out what the Windows drives partitions are now. And again, it looks like SDA2, it's got the most blocks. Except this time we're mounting it with write access. Alright, that's good. Now, we're not actually going to transfer the data file straight into the user folder. I prefer to copy it off to some temporary folder in the main root directory, and then within Windows itself just move them over into the users folder. That's required. Okay, Windows data backup. USB users. Right. Data. Alright, we'll let that go through. That's probably going to take about half an hour or so, and then we'll be done. And we'll have to boot back into Windows. Alright, we're all done finally, and it's, what, the time can't be right. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here. Okay, time to unmount things. And reboot. Now what we'll do is we'll actually hold on to this hard drive for about a week or so after the person gets their computer back, just in case something odd happens. Certainly it's happened enough times in the past for me to continue to do this process, and I've got plenty of these 1 gig to up 1 or 2 terabyte drives around the place, so it's no great skin off my nose to simply put it into storage for a couple of weeks. In fact, usually I just forget about it until it comes time that I've run out of existing available units and I start working from the oldest ones back. So you can see this is a really long, many-step process. So when people go on about you charging a fair bit for just doing reinstallations and data recovery, uh, you got to weigh up the fact that it takes a long time. Looks good. Okay, I've done everything I need to, or that I want to, because like I said, this has been a compromised machine, so I don't really want to copy across things like the downloads or anything like that. In fact, I will get rid of them after this. And then I'm going to give it back to the person, and they are going to try and use it. And if they go, oh, Paul, we're looking for these particular files, then I'll be able to go through, pick them out, and give them to them, or at least guide them to where they can get them. I will not be leaving them on this machine because I do have the backup. I could put things like Flash Blocker and all that sort of stuff in, but it would tend to degrade the user experience too much, and I will end up with support calls from people who are asking why things aren't working. I might put the Facebook. Oh, I can't spell tonight. 1 o'clock in the morning. Come on, give me a break. And yeah, that should do. Alright, I'm having enough of that. That's going to download, that's going to do its scan. I'm going to remove that backup folder, and then it'll be back to the client for now. So I'm sorry it's taken so long to get this done, but it illustrates very well just how much of a pain in the butt it is doing what sounds like a simple task, and that's a factory reinstall. So don't be fooled into doing these jobs cheap. Make sure you charge appropriately. This is easily 1 hour contact. And then if there were any other complications, like say if the cooling system needed changing or there was a hard drive fault, well, as you can see, the cost will really blow out. So don't sell yourself short on these things, even if they sound simple and people tell you, oh, I can just hit the factory reset. There's a lot of work beyond just that basic first step. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.